I got my smoothie here.
All right, right. I forgot to do the 30-second thing, so we're going live here too. Your smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good.
Yeah,
You said it's sweet.
it is. I got some cinnamon in there and some cacao for flavor.
What's cacao? Oh, cocoa.
Cocoa.
Oh, cocoa.
Yeah.
you got Southern American on. That's crazy. Cacao. I guess you could.
Is that what it's called?
Cocoa? It's like if I'm like, hey, I don't want some hot cacao. I want some cocoa. Hot cocoa.
Okay.
Well, I call it hot cocoa. I don't know.
I might have picked that up from California.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we call it.
That's the hip way to say cocoa, I guess.
So, guys, we got some awesome. Actually, I'm glad you brought up Coach Alvarez. So, you had Professor Mohammad just got back from Texas again. You're pretty much a worldwide traveler. Like I feel like you spend more time in a plane than you do in the academy.
I know.
It's as of late, it seems. You went to Worlds, and then you immediately went to Professor Alvarez's 4th degree black belt promotion.
Yeah.
How many black belts did he promote that day, though? He had a lot.
You know, there was like 4 or 5 black belts that were promoted, but like, you know, when you're part of a big organization and a team, I mean, you've seen yourself getting proximity to our team over here in Michigan and Texas. And, you know, we had black belts. Like, I've never been in a room outside of basically Worlds.
Yeah.
Where you see all these black belts. I've never been in a room with so many black belts at one time.
I was looking at the picture. There's probably 24 of you guys.
Yeah, there's a ton.
There was 24. There was Professor Sergio from Mexico. There was everyone came in, and that is I took that picture. I was like, yo, that's a scare. Like, if you know what you're looking at, like, that's a scary room. Which is funny because you can not to rag on them, bro, but like you can look at like the traditional martial artists black belts, and they're all like, you know, smiling, and then the jiu-jitsu. Did you guys just get done rolling in that picture or no?
No.
Well, you all looked like you did. You all were like your energy was just drained. You're kind of straight mugging the camera. I was like, man, that's a vicious room. That's a vicious picture.
Oh yeah. And you know, seeing these black belts come up, the ones that were promoted.
Yeah. Louise and them.
Yeah. And you know, seeing them in competition and rolling and training with them, man, these guys are like, they deserve to be where they're at.
It's really cool because we've been with Professor Alvarez long enough to it's been 2 years now, right? Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And so I remember Louise when he earned his brown belt.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Like, that's really cool. So now you're seeing those promotions like that, like, because before it's like you're just getting to know these people and like your teammates, but you're kind of new to the team.
Yeah.
So you that connection, that relationship hasn't been built yet. But now, man, whenever I see those guys, like, I would see they comment on our stuff, you know, virtually. We see them like when I do go down to train or I see them at tournaments, it's literally like someone who I just haven't seen in the gym in a minute.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, man. That community, we'll just kind of segue into the jiu-jitsu community. While you were in Texas, I was in Sandusky.
Yep.
And I went to go get it. So we had a little Christmas week. The next 2 weeks are just packed for us. Like I don't know if you know this, like Christmas starts on Thanksgiving. Yeah. Like the Christmas season, like it's like people they're literally that day they start saying Merry Christmas, even though it's not even December yet. Yeah. So they it's busy for us. So we went to Sandusky to this water park, and I was like, bro, all right. First off, the American population is grossly overweight. I'm gonna get that out of there. But I was like, I need to go work out. So I went to Planet Fitness. And Mindy, we were with Mindy, and she's like, yeah, I need to use my guest pass because I canceled my membership. She's like, I need to use my guest pass. He's like, yeah, man, here, what you do is you just need to send him a link. And I was wearing my tank top. You need to send him a link. And dude, I love your tank top, man. I just started training like 6 months ago. My Metro Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, man, it was so sweet. He's like, oh, I love it. I got a fight coming up soon. You guys are good. Just go on and he literally forgot his entire job description. That for like half hour, he was going off on it. and we're just sitting there, and
you can't complain about that.
No, I can't complain about it. And then I was like, well, thanks, man. And I was like, that's sweet, man. Keep it up. That's awesome. He's like, I just got my first stripe. I'm super stoked. And I was like, that's cool.
White belt?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool, man. That's exciting. And Minnie's like, well, he's not going to tell you, but he's a black belt. And I was like, you're right. I wasn't going to tell him, but so I go and I do my workout thing. And I was like, curiously, I just wonder if they have open mat. So that instant kind of camaraderie, long story short, I went back to him. They had open mat. We actually trained open mat on Sunday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was.
So you went to the guy's gym.
Yeah.
That a white belt that was a one stripe white belt. That's how you connected with him and went to his gym.
Yeah. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey man, like, where's your gym's close? He's like, yeah. So they're actually under Dion.
Oh, okay.
It's Dion's gym. So one of his affiliates. So he's like, reach out to my coach. And I always listen.
If that's Justin, I know I asked you if that's
this guy's name is Chad.
Okay, yeah, but there's a guy near Cedar Point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could have sworn Justin was there.
I was surprised how many schools. I just Googled Jiu-Jitsu MMA. There was like 7 schools. And that's it. There was for Sandusky, there was a lot.
That's like a hole in the wall. That's like driving from Dallas to Midland. There's nothing for like a whole stretch, and then you get to this little city. But that's cool.
Yeah, I have trained at one in Sandusky. It's like a little hole in the wall, almost like this downtown area. But so we get there, right? And so I reached out. I was like, well, maybe they have open mat. And so we ended up doing open mat, and the point being was that has happened like we've been on a plane before. We've been boarding a plane.
Yeah.
And I'm like walking down the little aisle, it's about 1.5 feet wide because they try to shove as many people as they can. And there was a dude, I was wearing my shirt, and then he just held up his fist to give me a fist pump. And I was like, do I know this guy? And he was wearing a 10th Planet hoodie. And so it's like this unspoken sign language, it's like you're part of this secret society. I just think that's the coolest thing. We should make Christian, remind me next week. We should make like a whole testimonial of when you stumbled upon people who train jiu-jitsu, because it is like a secret society thing. But we're gonna get into the questions. So first question I've got for Professor Mohammad. We're gonna talk about your responsibility in teaching martial arts. You have a responsibility in teaching martial arts. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
So it's your responsibility to teach martial arts.
Yeah.
And to teach effective martial arts. So if you teach something, and so the topic is kind of useless self-defense tactics. And so, I shared something. I was kind of roasting this guy a little bit. One of our members reached out to me. She's like, hey, that's not what Metro stands for. I was like, listen, you know what? I just kind of have, I didn't mean to offend anyone, but I feel like you have a responsibility to teach effective martial arts, because if I teach you something and when I teach class, I was like, self-defense scenario, here's what you do.
Yeah.
Because I try to keep, I'm a fan of keeping jiu-jitsu violent. So, So being that aware,
physical violence,
physical,
he means practical in a real life situation.
I mean practical, with just a very real reality.
Yeah.
That the 2 inches of mat, by the way, we're not sitting directly on the mats, we got cushion, but 2 inches of mat hits way different than poured concrete.
Yeah.
Like a world of difference. And
True.
so just being mindful of that and being mindful of that. But you have a responsibility. If you're going to teach something, it needs to work. At least it needs to work the majority of the time and here's the key, on a resisting opponent. I joke about traditional martial arts. I joke about other things like that.
Yeah.
I believe if they sparred every night and every day like we did, they would be a lot better.
Yeah,
they would honestly be a lot more practical, because who's going to keep doing something that doesn't work?
Yeah.
But if
you don't know that it doesn't work if you don't test it.
It's like building a car that you don't test drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That car looks really sweet. So I believe any martial art, and right now the list kind of consists of jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, Muay Thai, Sambo, boxing. Those are ones that you actually spar and you live spar.
Yeah. And speaking of something that doesn't work, last night I was rolling with John, Ortiz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I love that kid, by the way.
Yeah,
he's like 25. I don't know why I call him a kid. He's just small.
He's amazing. So like I haven't rolled him in a little bit, and yesterday I start to roll, and he's smaller than me, so I'm just pulling guard and just kind of like experimenting my offside of my De La Riva and X and Black X. And all of a sudden, before I know it, the guy's got me in turtle, and he's got some kind of choke, and he's got my arm hooked.
Can't give that guy any. You can't give him anything anymore.
And I'm like, holy shit! Like I can't just like have a good time and roll because I'm being. Yeah. He's like half my size, and I'm like this close from getting subbed. I'm like, oh shit! I need to protect myself.
Pound for pound, he's way stronger than I am.
Oh, definitely.
Pound for pound, he's way stronger than I am.
Yeah. So the point is that he's smaller, he's lighter, but what he was doing works.
Yeah.
Like I literally had to defend myself, and I was on the defensive for a few minutes. I'm like, shit, man, you're moving good.
Yeah.
So what, you're right. If the martial arts work, you can validate it, or if you test it, you can validate it.
I agree with that. So where do you now? I'm curious to hear your personal philosophy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? How do you? Because you and I, like I was talking with Chad, the guy that did Open Mat with. He's in the same boat as us.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a coach
Okay.
in the building.
Yeah.
So, like, how are you, as the head of our program, continuing your education? How do you get better at jiu-jitsu to make our team better? And we win. I mean, our team wins. I mean, we don't win every single match every time, but like in broad strokes, we definitely hold our own when we go to tournaments. Right. So how are you continuing your education to improve that and make sure that it is effective and that it is like someone that, God forbid, someone needs to use it in law enforcement, military, or even a self-defense scenario that it will work? Like, how are you? Because I know the answer, but our viewers don't. So
yeah. So that's a good question. So there's a few different things. It's funny you asked that question because one thing that I just did is, you've heard the saying, if you don't grow, you got to go. You have to constantly be learning new things, reading new things. And I'm starting to study like new material on finances and stuff like that. And I know that's in some of our courses and how to prepare for the future of finances and how to, put yourself in a good position. So reading that is exposing myself to new material. And it's like, shit, man, I'm starting to read and expose myself to stuff I haven't done before. So in part to answer your question, I downloaded this app that tests and teaches you how to learn, how to retain information, and how to just improve your grammar, improve your spelling, improve your vocabulary. In turn, I'm taking that on how to better absorb the jiu-jitsu material that I study. So there's a couple things that I'm doing. One is I'm always studying jiu-jitsu. And so, we have courses that we follow with Professor Bruno, Professor Alvarez.
Yeah.
And, I'd say a few years ago, if I was rolling with you and then you were getting these positions and you were beating me in these positions, which like Jabril is doing to us right now, there's a bunch of positions where it's black belt level moves that he's putting on us.
Yeah, you can't get there.
You can't stop it.
You just have to avoid the spot.
So another way to increase my education and challenge myself is, I used to say, David, what is it that you did? How did you do it? Jabril, what did you do? How did you do it? Immediately, I'm like, oh, okay, I got the answer to it, and I got the solution of how to address the move that I was just beat with. Today, I don't ask. So if
you observe.
No, today, like if you or him are beating me with a move, today, I'm like, I'm not going to ask you what you're doing. I'm going to see if I can figure it out on my own real time. And I literally have a split second to try to figure it out. So basically putting it on me to do my own research. And usually it's more on the job training where when we start to roll again, I'm like, okay, this is going to happen really fast. He got the move, he got the sweep, he got the submission on me. So what do I do in that time to try to problem solve really, really fast? So in short, again, it's ongoing training. And we could watch a whole video for about an hour or more. Like on my plane ride, I was studying for hours and hours. And it's like you study for 2 hours, you might get 3 minutes of material. It's like, okay, I could use that.
Yeah.
So problem solving on my own without asking for help, which is nothing is wrong with that. And then increasing the amount of grammar, vocabulary, and studying retention tools that can help you absorb whatever it is you're studying.
So that is, I like that answer. And I think that's simultaneously why jiu-jitsu is so frustrating. But also it's the reason it's effective too, is because like humans, we don't like to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
We don't like to make the same mistake twice. And in jiu-jitsu, it's very common to be hit by the same move. Does Gordon Ryan? I don't keep up with mainstream grapplers. He literally on his super fights, he seals an envelope, gives it to the judge, and he's telling them what submission he's going to land on his opponent, right? Like, is that his thing? That's his MO?
Yeah.
That's a whole new level. Like, so the point being, it's very common for someone to hit the same move on you over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's certain moves, like Jabril, like if I'm in Jabril's half guard, now, man, like I said, I try to avoid that, but he could probably tell me, he's like, I'm going to get one of two moves. And he's going to get them.
Yeah.
If he's in my guard, I could tell him I'm going to get one of two moves, and I'm usually going to get them. You're in your deep half, or you like De La Riva a lot, one or two moves, you're going to get them because they've been rehearsed, and there's not much you can do to stop that. And you tell that to somebody, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this move on you, and you won't be able to stop it. It sounds arrogant. It sounds unbelievable. Even saying it sounds unrealistic. But if they don't train, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it.
So I was in this training seminar. The guy's name was Tim Sales, and he was that
was his legal name.
Or
was he just like a salesman? That was his.
No, he was an ex-Navy SEAL. And it was a network marketing company. And Tim Sales, I flew all the way out to Florida to take his training. And I remember one thing, he said a lot of things I remember, but one thing that really stuck out, he's like, when you practice something again and again and again, and it becomes so rehearsed and so efficient. He was in the high school wrestling meet, and his coach said, the coach of the other kid was like, watch the double leg takedown, watch the double leg takedown, watch the double leg takedown. Tim Sales got in the match, and what did he get? Double leg takedown.
Double leg, yeah.
So when you practice something again and again and again, it doesn't matter what somebody knows. You're so good and efficient at it that they can't stop it.
Yeah.
So
that's called unconscious mastery. Like to the point to where like you literally could probably have done it blindfolded. Real quick, Mr. Justin, I put this up earlier. Hey, good morning, guys. Just want to say thank you for all you do for our kids in the community. Much love and good vibes. Justin, you do have good vibes, man. I'll give you that. Like you're always chill, really good. His son Phoenix trains with us. Phoenix is doing great. He's in our Little Lions program. Thank you so much for that, Justin. Do me a favor, grant StreamYard access to your Facebook account so that we can see you, we can see who you are, rather than just like blank avatars, bro. It's 2020, almost 22. Like we shouldn't have blank avatars. We should put our face out there, or but thank you for that, Justin. I appreciate you, man. So the next question. It's actually coincidental. Money management. Money management. Be like, all right, so clarify, we're not financial advisors. I'm not licensed to give any type of financial advice. We're just talking here. Okay. Neither is Coach Mohammad. We're not licensed to give financial advice. So feel free to skip the next portion if you desire, or listen and get some use out of it. So money management, let's talk about just give me like an elevator speech on what you're learning about money management, because like there are two real actual epidemics in American society right now. One is health. The other is the money management. And so what are some things tips and tricks that you use to manage your money? And it could be either to like simple growth, or it could be simple savings. So what are some things you use?
So like two that stand out for me is, one of them is you have to plan ahead.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead.
I don't know how you exist without doing that, but continue.
Yeah. And the younger that we are, the harder it is to kind of think about tomorrow. Yeah.
If I oh my gosh. If I had started if you have a freaking 16-year-old or a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, please get them saving. Like, get them into a Roth. Like, please start saving for them. Like, man, can you imagine if we had maxed out a Roth every year since I was 18?
Wow.
Be like Forrest Gump. We don't have to worry about money no more. Like, that would be vicious. Continue though. Like that makes me sick every time.
Yeah, I mean, for our viewers and simple, and I have a lot of close friends, and one of my friends aside, I think is on here, is one of them is planning ahead, like for every situation, for every stage of your life, and like one of the misconceptions I thought is planning ahead means you have to invest and you have to put so much money aside. So much money aside. And really, you don't. Like, it could be just a few dollars a day, a few pennies a day. And saving money and planning ahead, honestly, is like going to the gym. It's a habit and it's a muscle that you have to work and you have to practice every day. And one of our friends, Paul or someone else said, look, man, every single day you wake up, save money.
Yep.
Click a save button or invest something. It doesn't matter if it's 50 cents.
You can do it automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got into like, I was doing it when I was giving for a little while. It's on automation now, but I would actually stop off at a certain place or something. And every morning before I'd go to work, I'd actually physically take cash and I'd give it.
Yep.
And I learned that practicing it really incorporated into my DNA. And the other thing is saving money and what's one of yours?
Mine's a little bit more macro. So finish your thought.
Okay.
Unless you're done, finish your thought, and then I'll speak to kind of the macro. That's man, that is so and it doesn't because it's anything else, right? Like, you don't wake up. No one's telling you to save $100 a day. If you can, that's dope. It's great. It's like, what, $36,000 a year, something like that. So that's great. But start with $1. Yeah. You spend $1 a day every day. Like, this is, God knows how much coffee is now. Like, where's Christian at? We did that thing with the coffee. A small coffee. You know how much a small coffee costs now?
Like $3.
It's $2.60.
Yeah.
It's $2.60.
That's like drug money.
3 years ago, when I was working at Doors, I would get a coffee. A large coffee was $1.90. A small was like $1.20. Oh, wow. In 3 years, it doubled. Don't tell me inflation isn't real.
I remember when they were like 50 cents.
Yeah, man. Like, it's crazy. So you spend money every day. So like you have to categorize your expenses. One, you need to know, like I did this on a master class yesterday. You have to know how much money you need to live. Like, you have to know, it's called your nut. Like, you need to cover your nut. Be like, well, that's a weird expression. It's a Western term. When you went into the bar and you wanted to like open up a tab, you would take the nut off your wheel of the wagon, you give it to the bartender. He keeps that nut until you pay your tab. Otherwise, you drive off and your wheel falls off. So
you were teaching us where?
This was at a Zoom class I was hosting. So you need to know how much you need to like live every month, like everything. And guess what, guys? Like, this is gonna sound weird. We budget every month out of the year for Christmas. Like, we have a list of people that we're buying from. We have a budget amount that we're going to spend on them. Even if they spend more on me, that's fine. That's your choice. I'm not asking you to spend money on me. So like, there's people who got me gifts this year and I didn't get them gifts. And frankly, I'm not going to get them gifts because you weren't on the list. I'm sorry. Maybe next year you'll be on the list. But like, so we budget, I think it's like $80 or $90 every single month. So that when Christmas time comes around, we got like $800. People spend $1,100. National average is $1,100 on Christmas every year. So, but they throw out, here's the credit card, and then you spend the rest of the year paying off last year's Christmas. So, like, you need to know how much you're spending.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You make things seem so easy when it comes to money and coaching and stuff like that. For somebody who has, let me use myself as an example. Sure. I have a big family.
You do.
I have 6 kids. Yeah. I have multiple cars in there. Sure. Multiple times I'm giving kids money for gas or to pick up groceries or if they run an errand or whatever. Like, what would you advise somebody who has a lot of moving pieces, and they might not have 6 children, because I know you work with married couples in your programs, like, you know, without getting too deep into money, but somebody has a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on to their family. How do you budget that when it's like, it's not as easy when it's like, life is simple. I have a job, I have a wife, I have a dog, and I have a house, and there's not much extracurricular activities I do, but with other people who have a lot of moving pieces going on, family, friends, or whatever, like they're active. How can you do that when things are constantly coming up?
Your head's getting cut off there. So the short answer, what do you mean things come up? Like things that there's and I'm just check out financial money, Total Money Makeover, Financial Peace University. That's where a lot of this comes from. Dave Ramsey does the get out of debt thing. By the way, I was in like 60 grand of debt. So it's not like, oh, I never touched credit cards and I never opened one, so I was better off. Like I had like 55 or 60,000 worth of debt. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a matter of you choose your activities. Like now you have a large family. And this is where I want to go into the macro thing a little bit. You choose your activities. If emergencies come up, like I need some dental work done, like that's an emergency. You kind of budget because you're saving every month. What you're saying, you're saving every month. So if something comes up like that, you dip in your savings, your emergency fund, and then you pay that bill because that's what it's there for. It's not there for when the new Air Jordans go on sale. So
is there a budget for emergency? Does emergency mean there's
emergency? Yeah. So we've been funding our emergency fund like $300 or $400 a month for years now. And then, but once it reaches once it reaches 6 months worth of income, you stop funding that emergency fund. You shouldn't need. Because if you're just like, oh, I'm going to save every dollar I get. If you had put all of your money, all of your life savings, let's just do 100,000 in the bank in 2008, that would be worth like 70,000 right now. Wow. It's like inflation's real. So like over 10 years, your money has gone down 30%. Wow. Like people don't realize that. So like stuff goes up. So like you the bare minimum for your minimum expenses, and then you cover that. The biggest thing, and these are all like practical things, the biggest change for me, and this is something that you knew way before I did, is the scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. So like I was very much raised with a scarcity mindset, and you know what this is, our viewers don't. Scarcity mindset is I need to hang on tight to everything I have. I can't afford to give. Like I need to hang it on to me. What if I need it? An abundance mindset is like, I mean, look, I got bills too, but like homeboy over there is in the freezing cold. Like I'm going to give him a ride. I'm going to buy him a hot lunch and drop him off at the shelter, type thing. So like an abundance mindset is there will always be more. There will always be more. Like if you look at how much money there is in the world, like there will always be more, and there will always be ways to make more money and earn more money. And when with that abundance mindset, you value yourself more. You value yourself more. So then, and bro, that attracts people. Like it's just like we all know someone who like they pinch pennies. They don't, and like I'm very pro saving money, but they pinch pennies and they won't invest in anything to better themselves. Like you want to talk about a $500 self-development program? No way, Jack. That's almost rent for the month. But that self-development program, personal development program, is going to increase your income by 20%. So that's that's the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. Right. That, if nothing else, that's what I'm saying. That's a bigger macro one. Like I'd never heard anything like that before. And that's something they need to teach in colleges, and they need to teach that in high school. They don't. Yeah. But that was the biggest thing for me, because once you get that through, then you start hanging around those people who have that abundance mindset, who see the value of giving back. They talk about savings and things like that, and that's a whole new realm.
Yeah. That's my second point was we have a girl who comes in on Mondays, and she teaches yoga.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's opening up a yoga studio in Commerce. Shannon.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, Anthony's girlfriend, and she's opening up a little nutrition store. And like first thing that came out of my mouth was, I'm like, do you know what you're getting yourself into? I've been in the nutrition business for.
Yeah, I had to check I was like, what? You can't. I didn't know it was in conference. I was like, you can't. What's she even doing in here? She competing with Coach Mohammad.
Yeah. And that was my initial reaction is like, what are you doing? Because do you know the industry? Do you know what you're getting yourself into? And I reminded her and reminded myself is like the second point about saving money or making money is you have to have, you can call it guts, cojones, or a psychology.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
Yeah.
If you constantly believe that you're going to, oh, this is not going to work, or there's no chance, or I shouldn't do it, you're dead before you start.
I agree with that.
So, planning for the future was my first. And the second one is really, really having, you can call it faith, guts, commitment, or psychology that you will not be defeated. And, it's not money, and finances are not a 1 month, a 1 year, a 5 year. This is a mental mindset.
Okay. Pop quiz. Pop quiz real quick. What other activity in your life do you need, if you want any success in, do you need to go in there expecting to win?
What activity?
What other activity?
Yeah.
That you spend a lot of your life involved in.
Yeah. Okay.
That if you're going to be successful in this activity, you have to go in there with the mindset expecting to win.
Competition.
Jiu-Jitsu competition. That's where, so to tie it back to jiu-jitsu, and like, bro, you're on the Metro Jiu-Jitsu podcast. We're gonna incorporate that. I can't help but talk about it, but Coach Mohammad's exactly right. Like if you're going, like, bro, I competed for years. Like I promise you, I had the mindset of like, I just want to get third. Like, I just want to get third. If I get third, like I'm happy. That's a scarcity, like mediocre mindset. Like now you go and be like, bro, I don't care if Gordon Ryan is across from me. Like I'm going to give this guy some hell and like, I'm going to give it everything I got. And I want to be first. Like I want to be on first. You are going to, not to say you're going to get first every time, but you can't go in there with a self-doubting mindset.
And you know what? I 100% agree with you, but I do have to add the fact that you go out there to test your knowledge or your skills in a competition against somebody else is a victory in its own.
500%.
Like just that alone, the act of going out there to test yourself against somebody else, different place, different time, any sport, any hobby, any field, that is competition, and you're going to grow from that. So
bro,
so like the fact that you were competing, like honestly, I believe you're one of the most active competitors that we knew for like a 5 or 7 year stretch. Like you were competing again and again. You were driving to Chicago. You're driving like everywhere, hauling your family around with you.
That sucks.
Yeah, I remember those long days, and
you'd
have Amanda over here in the corner, and eventually
she is so ride or die. Like honestly, man,
she really is.
There's a picture. Is it still over there? There's a picture somewhere. I don't think it's in my shadow box. There's a picture of us in Dallas.
Yeah, I took that picture. I remember.
Bro, I'm sitting there. This is the best picture. Christian, we got to find it. I'm sitting there waiting, warming up. Amanda is, and I'm holding, I'm reading, Are You My Mother? I'm in my gi. I'm fully in my gi brown belt, reading Are You My Mother to Scarlett. Amanda's there, bored out of her mind. And right next to me, there's a guy who just lost, like rethinking his life. He's like sweating and like so angry because you tell he just lost. If there was a picture that like narrated competition life for families, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality. Like, Christian does a good job making this look kind of glamorous, and it is, competitions are fun, man. But like that's kind of it. And but you're right. Like the anyone who goes out to compete, they've done something 1%, less than 1% of the population is
so
done.
true. Man.
Less than 1% of the population. True. I mean, so
and hauling your family, your wife, your kids, and all that stuff. It takes so much sacrifice just to get out there. But if you're a competitor in anything that you do, it's the act of preparing.
Yeah.
Going out there, putting yourself out there is where you grow.
Sure.
The win or the loss is like 2 minutes. Either way, you're going to go back and say, look, we need to get back to the drawing board and make sure we improve so we could.
So that's and not to cut you off, but like that's an example. Like when I was doing those things, when I was going to Chicago, shit, bro, Chicago was like a minimum. Like if you did it as cheap as possible, $400 investment.
Yeah.
No, it's $5 because we have tournament registration. So $500 to maybe go out there for if you get eliminated first round. Like anyone else you talk to, like that's a waste of $500, right? That's a waste.
Yeah, and just so our viewers know, at the time you took a break from entrepreneurship. You had left your gold and your silver business.
Yeah.
You decided to take a little break.
Oh, I was working construction. Yeah.
So you were just kind of, in limbo, deciding what you were going to do.
Literally, I can tell you for sure that money came from savings. Like that money, it wasn't like we had tons of extra money.
There was no plan. Was there a plan at the time to ever open up your own school or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean that was I had always wanted to open up my own school. So, but it wasn't like that was super close. And I was like, well, I'm going to be open up within the year. That's going to help my resume. No, it wasn't that. It was just.
It wasn't because you wanted to open up.
No. It was just because I was like, it was a larger tournament. It was a close, larger tournament, unless I wanted to fly. But again, I bring my family everywhere. So flying to Texas it wasn't an option, you know? So,
I remember walking down the aisles of Myers and me and Scarlett were looking at the scales, weighing ourselves, making sure we're
we're that weighing ourselves. Yeah. Like that's the things that, and those are the stories that like I like because she's probably just now starting to get memories of those. Like 5 or 6, she's starting to get memories of those. Your kids have tons of memories of that, which I think is really cool. And it helps, man. So you're giving them exposure to this mindset of like this commitment, this work ethic. This work ethic it's huge from jiu-jitsu. So we spent longer on that topic than expected, but I think it's a good one. I think it's something that doesn't get talked. Money doesn't get talked about enough. And if you do talk about money, then you're a greedy like capitalist, But there's I heard one of our members talking about student loan debt last night. He just got done paying off $100,000. He graduated in 2001.
Yeah, that's sad.
20 years.
I mean, my son wants to go into the medical field. My daughter wants to go into law. And, it really, I'm telling you, it burns me and it eats me up, the fact that we have to talk about financial aid and debt and stuff like that. And it bothers me how much education they're really getting.
Yeah.
It's pay to play.
Okay. But there are a few realms. Like I'm very outspoken about my stance on college. For the majority, you want to be a lawyer, you got to go to college. You want to be in that medical field, you got to go to college. You want to be
engineer,
you probably have to go to college. Probably. There might be some type of certain programs that. Outside of that, I don't see it, man. I really don't. Like if you're like, hey, yo, Fox, you got $50,000, you can spend on a bachelor's degree. Like my dentist, her son's going to Hope, $45,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and he's gonna be a writer.
Wow.
So what's shit? I don't know, man. I feel like you could just take some writing. Anyway, so like if you got $50,000 and you're like, I need you to turn this into $500,000. I'm not going to college with it.
Yeah.
Like, period. I'm not. So I love this next one. This goes out. So Professor Bruno, Sensei Bruno, mentioned something last week, and he's like, as a coach, I see potential in people. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's talking about?
So you and I see it all the time.
Yeah.
It might sound cheesy, but we can look at people and, man, we can see something special in the person.
Let me pause. Let me stop. I believe, I swear to you, in fact, I swear to you, I believe this, that God has given every person their own special superpower, something that that makes them special and unique, that they're gifted at and acclimated towards that nobody else has. And they have a special, I believe that.
Yeah.
That being said, continue.
So the question is seeing potential in people?
Yes. Like, do you know, to springboard a question, do you know what he's talking about? Have you seen that in members or kids or parents? What does that look like? Like, how do you know?
So you have to be in the business of people or really interested in people. So if you ever meet somebody,
Facts.
if you ever meet somebody and you start talking to them, and they're like, oh, by the way, I work at, A, B, and C job. And I work 9 to 5, but I get, paid vacations. I get weekends off.
And they start glazing off like this.
Yeah. And then, you know what? I just went hunting and got a couple big, I got a couple buck. And you ever hunt? And then they keep talking about themselves.
Yeah.
About their money, about their time, about their stuff. So you have to
That's
really.
one of the biggest things I learned. Like you clarify. I would never did it too much, but you clarified it for me. You're like, bro, the game is. Here's the game. Who can talk less? And like that's a game changer. Like when you taught me, I was like,
and it's so basic and so simple, but you have to be interested in people. So you and I are in the business of people. We love our members, and we're constantly looking to recruit people that want to be better. Yeah. Like you want to be better. So we have some members that like they really, really have something special in them. And everybody has it, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what separates the really special ones from the ones who haven't let it out yet is they're just taking action. Yep. And so, I believe that we do have, we both can see our organization, our community, and our company. The job is to find people that have special skills, special talents, and bring it out in them. Yep. And obviously, martial arts is the absolute best way to bring out something special in somebody. And for different people, it is something different. And, some people find that they have good speaking skills. Some people find that they have good, they're resilient. And you might look at them and on paper, you're like, nah, you don't have nothing in here in your resume that says you're a resilient
That's
person.
Me, by the way. Like I've thought about that. If I had the time or the drive, or I could somehow connect it to jiu-jitsu, I would love to like go around, have Christian document, and just have me apply to jobs. And like I've got Arby's, and then I've got I've been self-employed since 2009. Even when I was doing construction, I was 1099 contractor. So I've only ever worked on paper for myself. Wow. And you're like, no college degree. Like on paper, I'm as boring as they cut. And I couldn't be more. There are 19-year-olds with a more impressive resume than me. But you and I agree. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever looked at a resume of anyone who ever works for us. Maybe just to oh, you'll tell me about Wayne State. That's it's just a springboard. Because the paper, you can't. It's not fair to judge someone on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether it's their resume or their criminal record.
I agree.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I agree.
Bro, we were talking with someone. You're telling me this story about this guy. He did something happened 12 years ago.
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just now catching up with him. Bro, I don't. You can live an entire life and be an entirely different person in 12 years. So, not to say that justice shouldn't be paid, but just because someone's got a record, it's not a complete turn off to me. Yeah, I want to meet him. I want to talk to him.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody deserves a second chance.
100%.
This girl that is opening up a yoga studio with some vitamins in there, I told her, I said, look, everybody gets to where they are who is successful in their life with the help of other people.
100%.
Don't be afraid. Don't be too proud to ask everybody around you for help.
Yeah.
You're not burdening anybody, because if you ask people for help, some people are looking to give back, because anybody who's gotten anywhere in life, whether it be private or public sector, they've gotten there by using the resources around them.
I hate the term self-made.
I don't believe
it's a lie. It's a narcissistic lie.
Well, self-made, I think our definition of self-made is my dad didn't give me
if that's what they mean by if they mean they didn't inherit it, then
yeah. Self-made is getting out there and hustling on your own and having skin in the game.
So that's one of those things that doesn't sit well with me, and it's going to go in really well into our next topic. But I agree with that. So just to kind of add a point, your head keeps getting cut off in this, bro.
I'm getting taller.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I got there you go. I just don't want your head cut off. So the let me see what am I scoot closer here. Yeah, whatever, we'll do it that way. So Last comment in regards to seeing potential in people.
Yeah.
I like to see potential. Like, I kind of look for where it's not the obvious.
Okay.
You know, a good example, I use him a lot, is Lil David.
Okay.
Bro, you know how he is today?
Yeah.
It's been that way since he was 9. He's literally been that way since he was 9. Loud. You never, ever, ever have to wonder what he's thinking, you know, because it comes right out on his tongue, for better or worse. And he's loud and rambunctious and noisy, and he's a little bit like hood. So, you know, like and coming up in youth group, like a lot of people didn't give him the time of day. In fact, if something went wrong and they were looking for a scapegoat, it was easy to point to him because it makes sense that it would have been him. Right. Yeah. Like, so, but I don't believe that. Like, I saw something in him. I was like, that's just energy. It's just energy. I was thinking about this. If you take the sun is energy, and as far away from it where it is right now, it can ripen tomatoes and help plants grow and grow grass. If you channel that energy into a laser, it sets stuff on fire, you know? And so all that is just energy. Like, you channel that energy, and then you can really, really make an impact with that. Yeah. But they need someone someone like him, and like other kids that we mentioned who are like, I can see him being a coach someday, like Lex. They need someone to believe in them. Yeah. Like, they may not even believe in themselves. They need someone to believe in them. And then once you have that, once you like, yo, really, you think I 100% think you will, then it becomes that sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, metaphorically speaking. So, like, you're like, well, Coach Mohammad believes in me. I don't want to let him down. And now they start this path of something just because you said something like, I believe you, as opposed to it goes the negative way too. You will never amount to anything. We've all had that. You know, we were at that business seminar. That guy ran what, $1 million company. And a lot of his decisions were just because someone said he wouldn't amount to anything. And they were limiting a lot of things that he was doing in business because he I forget the details. So he was just short selling himself because of something that happened in 5th grade or 4th grade or something. So that's where it could, that potential can be found in anybody. And even if on the surface, it may look like it's not there. So,
yeah. And that, that potential doesn't have to mean that you become an all-star of whatever field, position, or job that you have. That just means that you accomplish more than you have, accomplish more than you have been, and you're around people who kind of, when you're around them, it means that, the proximity to being around people who are accomplishing things in your life kind of forces you to constantly rethink, am I being a little bit too lazy? Yeah. Am I getting off? Am I going to the gym? Am I going to work? Am I making the phone calls? Am I doing the little things that I need to do, or the hard things? And, about David, he's constantly around somebody who's not sleeping in, getting up to work, going to work, going to the gym, working out on the road. So he gets to see somebody who's constantly going, stepping out of their comfort zone and doing the uncomfortable things. And that's an important thing for, when somebody believes in you and you recognize that, you have to pay attention to what they're doing, because usually they're leaving clues that are going to lead you to the same path of success that they're on.
Absolutely. So Chandon says hi. What's up, Chandon? He's watching us on YouTube.
Hey, Chandon.
Yo, if you guys if you're on YouTube, do us a favor, like and subscribe. That really helps us out a lot. Helps with our following, helps us get more people, awesome people on the team like you. So last question.
Yeah.
Make sure I got it here. We're going to talk about bad examples of good communities. Bad examples of good communities. And so when I say good communities, referring to jiu-jitsu community is obviously an incredible community. Let's start there. The jiu-jitsu community. So there are a lot of 95% of the jiu-jitsu community are incredible people.
Yeah.
Every community you're in has bad apples.
Yeah.
So there are, you could Google some mainstream cases of where there have been sexual assault charges on some mainstream people. You can Google, you can find all these things. when you're reading stories like that, and let's say about a community you're not in, you really have two choices. You can look at that isolated example and see, that's why I don't like that entire group of people. You can look at the guy who's facing charges right now and say, that's why all jiu-jitsu people are bad. That's why I won't put my kid in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or you can say, well, that's unfortunate. That person did a bad thing.
Yeah.
That person is a bad example. You can't paint an entire broad brush. See how this is tying into open-mindedness, our word of the month for this month that we're teaching kids. You can't paint a broad brush to an entire group of people like that.
True.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? And what are some other good communities like outside of the jiu-jitsu realm? Because that's what I see. You know, whenever someone's like they want to paint a broad brush, and this even applies, you know, outside of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I don't have any statistical data to prove this, but I think I've heard this, is that when you talk about like murders, kidnappings, and stuff like that, I believe that there's a lot of statistics that can show that all of those numbers are down. Okay.
Like worldwide?
Let's just talk about the U.S.
Like historically?
Yeah. Like over the last, 10, 20 years.
Keep talking. I think you're right, though.
So kidnappings, robberies and things like that, I believe they're all down. So you could probably easily understand, agree with that, because there's so much video. Like today, you can essentially be recorded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, outside of your own personal device. Like every place you go, cameras here, cameras on the inside. So there's a lot more censorship of where people are at. So just that alone is going to be a deterrent for many people. So when you hear, like when we talk about bad jiu-jitsu communities, like I was talking to Sensei Bruno, and we were talking about Gordon Ryan.
Yep.
And so Gordon Ryan, as an example, he is like right now, he is the LeBron James of no-gi grappling. He is the absolute best in the history of grappling today. Like
he's literally the one to beat.
And he's like, there's the highest level grapplers are here, and he's so far ahead of everybody. Saying that, he's online and he talks about other grapplers and he calls them out, and he just, he's pretty abrasive, to put it nicely.
If Donald Trump was a grappler, he would be Gordon Ryan.
Perfect.
Yeah. Like that. That's kind of, and is that his actual, like, I don't know the guy. I don't know Gordon Ryan.
So this is the point of the story. So Bruno has an accent. Sensei Bruno has an accent. He's Brazilian. Yeah. Gordon Ryan is he's a super white from New York, and you're totally Republican.
Oh, he's from New York?
Originally, I think he's from New York.
You need to understand, like, that there's a certain level of grit that comes from being from New York. Continue, though.
But here's the thing. Like, so he was telling me about all his interactions with Gordon Ryan. And he said he's been totally respectful to him.
Yep.
He's like, in person, he's the nicest guy.
Yep.
He's a very nice guy. He's respectful. Nothing like what I've seen online. But what you do see online, the majority of people are seeing, he's like, he's so respectful, such a nice guy that you can't judge. You can judge him because it's there.
Yeah.
But he has treated me differently in person. So that goes to the answer, is that if you or I were a fan or a parent, would we allow, knowing this, our son or our daughter or our athletes to use him as a role model? Because what we do see, what the masses see, is not good.
Yeah.
So I guess to answer your question, I would say, you know what, you have to go by what you see. But if you do meet somebody in person and he is totally different, you have to factor that in. But you just can't take away everything that he's saying and doing and his approach to how he treats other competitors. It's not respectful.
Yeah. So here's kind of my belief on online presence. Like, I'm pretty vocal online, but I am I am literally just as vocal, like, in person. So if someone asks my opinion on money, like in college, Like, I'm not going to give them a politically correct answer in person. I'm going to speak my mind exactly. It's one thing if you're controversial online just because you're seeking engagement, just because you want likes and you want extra, oh, like, look how many shares I got because I went off and screaming my, one far right or far left political viewpoint.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, you're going to get lots of engagement, but it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Like, you're strictly just seeking the engagement. It's like you're kind of whoring yourself out in a really bad way for that. I think of Sean Whalen a lot, like with this, like the guy, like he's a really controversial dude. To the point to where I just couldn't. He got blasphemous. I couldn't follow him anymore. So
Sean Whalen.
That's
not the guy that we're talking about at Tribe, right?
Yeah. He gave a speech in San Fran.
Okay.
So, but he was just as controversial in person. Like it wasn't. There's this. Thanos, right? The main bad guy from Marvel, and he's like, oh, a super villain. Thanos actually believed everything he said. He was insane.
Yeah.
Like, he was just insane. Like, he believed he was actually doing humanity and worldwide good by eliminating half the people. He believed that.
Yeah.
So on some level, you have to respect that. Like Sean Whalen, he believes everything he says. If Gordon Ryan and I don't even follow the guy, so I don't know what he says. I've heard he says some pretty awful stuff. If he believes that, though, he's at least holding true to it. But if you're just seeking the engagement or the likes or the shares or the things, like, still very, in my opinion, poor role model. Like, there's a reason he's not posted up on here for our kids to idol, So that's but if it's genuine and that's what you believe, like I've got, like, you being a Muslim and myself being a Christian, we have some pretty firm viewpoints on they're pretty conservative about marriage, about money, about God, about creation. We state our minds on that because that's what we will believe. And if you disagree with me, like, that's fine. You're not actually disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with what we believe in. And that's fine, but we're still going to believe in it, whether you agree with it or not, whether you talk about it. So that's my thing with, like, the controversy. Like, he's respectful to Bruno. I always wonder with that. How can you be so obnoxious online and that not rub off at all in person?
Yeah. Well, I can guarantee you that if you and I got out there outside of Metro, for example, and we constantly just spoke exactly what we felt, unfiltered, because we have private meetings, we have owner meetings, we have coaching meetings and stuff like that. If one of us comes to the table and we're like fuming and steaming, and it's like, there's no other place I could start to throw the F-bombs and just slap my hands on the table. If all that was public, I guarantee you that we would get so much more lovers and haters. But that's true. And and there's probably an art to these people doing that, and they're also, I'd call them followers, not leaders.
Yeah, man. I kind of believe that. So on that same realm, Coach Christian asked me this week. We're covering Open-Mindedness for in our social media.
Yeah.
He asked me, has he asked you today or yet what it's like to be partnered with a Christian?
No, I know we were supposed to cover it, but I haven't got the memo yet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he'll hit up with you soon, but I know we're going to go a little bit over, but I want to talk about that real quick. So being partnered, and we're going to use this at the exact, kind of off the same thing, bad examples in good communities. And I'm using the term good, meaning not harmful, meaning not malicious, meaning not like an evil group. We're not speaking theologically, just generally good communities. So the Christian community overall is a good community, like seeking to do good. The Muslim community, I believe overall, is a good community, not seeking to do evil. So when he asked me what it's like it's very easy to point to and find isolated examples in each of those communities where you're like there was one that sticks out is the Christians outside of abortion clinics, like saying that God hates murderers. Bro, I will go slap somebody. Like I will go smack someone holding a sign, because and it's their approach and how they're doing it. So like if that's your first glance of a Christian and that's their approach, that's a bad apple. I'm not saying they're not a Christian. I'm just saying they're certainly not acting like one. So what are your have you ever encountered that? I'm sure you have. Have you ever seen people in your own community that misrepresent what you stand for, and people on the outside looking in use that as an example to condemn your community as a whole? Has that ever happened, like at all, like ever, like around 2001 or anything like that? Like, has that ever happened?
Can you rephrase that question?
Have you ever had a bad apple in the Muslim community that your entire Muslim community doesn't support, but people look at them and they say, that's why we don't like Muslims? Because it happens in the Christian realm.
Yeah.
Regular.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't know if this applies, but so last year, somebody came to my house to drop off rent for one of the houses. Okay. So, I mean, I have 4 daughters, 2 sons. I have 6 kids in the house. And this guy came over to the house to drop off the rent money. Okay.
What time? It sounds like a familiar. What time was it? Was it late?
It was like dinner time.
Okay.
Okay.
Were you expecting him?
No.
Okay. All right.
So nothing wrong with coming over to drop off the rent. So this guy would actually go to the mosque and pray like multiple times a day.
Okay.
And he wears the traditional stuff, and you look at him and you think that he goes there and prays. He's a pious man of God, and he's obviously spends his time doing good.
Sure.
So I don't know if this applies, but he actually came to the window and knocked on my window. And you don't do that when there's, I mean, you can call it religion, you can call it culture, but you got girls in the house, you don't knock on my window.
He didn't knock on the front door?
He knocked on the damn window.
Why didn't he knock on the front door?
So, when I saw that,
because, and just to clarify, like, obviously your entire family wears hijabs.
Yes.
And I assume at dinner time, they're probably off.
Yeah.
Because it's in the house.
Yeah. They take.
So he went around to a window where he might have been able to see them uncovered.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
I mean, I wouldn't have to tell you.
And he knows that. And he knows this.
And he knows that. And there's like, just like biblical scriptures, and there's Islamic, proverbs that you got to respect people's houses. And there's even a rule that says you knock, and if nobody answers, you have to wait 2 minutes because they could be praying, which takes about 2 to 4 minutes. You don't do none of that. But he went up to the window, so I went out there and told him. I said, "Look, I don't have to tell you. You're supposed to be a man of God, and you go there and pray. You don't knock on somebody's windows, and I don't have to tell you there's females in my house, and you don't knock on my damn window.
Yep.
I don't have to tell you that the curtain could be open. You could be looking at something you're not supposed to be looking at. So that's my example, and obviously that really, really pissed me off. And so the people in, I think, Christianity and Islam who do those things, I hate to make an excuse for them, but unfortunately they just don't know, or they don't want to know.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to express themselves in the right way. And like you said, if you want to be attractive, if you want your religion or your lifestyle to be attractive, you have to have somebody look at you and say, I would go do what you're doing right now.
Yeah,
I would go, I make it to the mosque, pray 3-4 times a day in the mosque. It's a really demanding on my time. But would I go knock on people's window, or would I go hold up a sign where strangers are looking at me,
Yeah, that is
and that really bothered me.
That's crazy, bro.
And he was like a 60-year-old man, so I had to be careful. I didn't give him a heart attack.
Senile, right? I think kind of the takeaway here, and we can all think of examples like literally, man. Yeah, and there's in the Catholic community, there's bad examples where you could point to and be like, that's the problem with Catholics, because there's one bad example. That's the problem with Christians, because there's one bad example. Like, and this could be in any community. I think where it comes down to is it's the responsibility of the true followers of that faith, to condemn that.
Yeah.
Like, so if I see like kind of like I'm doing now, like I'm pointing out, like if you ever see someone spreading hate and fear mongering and all these things outside of an abortion clinic saying God hates them, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Like that's a lie.
Yeah.
God hates sin. Yeah, sure, of course. But guess what? We're all sinners. So like that's a lie. Like, so to condemn that, otherwise that's their first blush of what a Christian looks like. I think I told you the example. Like I used to go to church right by the biggest mosque in Dearborn, the one big one at like Ford and Southfield. And on Easter Sunday, this clown, bro, no, it was a Muslim holiday. It was a Muslim holiday, and this dude, he wasn't even from Michigan. Like he came up from down south. The Dearborn police showed up, and he was gonna have like a Quran burning or something crazy. You remember this? Like it was. And meanwhile, so now the Dearborn cops are there because this crazy hillbilly so-called Christian decides to burn Qurans in front of the mosque on a Muslim holiday. Like, are you like, that's crazy? Like the guy's insane. Like, and like everybody, like me and almost 4 other dudes from our church almost like carried him off. Because what does that look like? And so then he's like, he had a sign, I think it like God hates Mohammad or something like that. And then one of the guys from the mosque comes out with his own homemade sign that says Mohammad loves Jesus. And I'm like, what does that say? Like, if I know nothing else, besides one guy is about to go on like a Quran burning as if he's Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany burning Bibles. Yeah. And then like the other one is like spreading like the love message. That's like, you can't, but that being said, he's a bad apple. Like you can't throw that baby out with the bathwater.
And you know what? I was talking to another Christian friend of mine, Assad. Another good Christian friend of mine, Gary Shield. What's up, brother? I mean, I have like these Christian friends that I really, really, including you, I really love, I really respect. And going to a mosque and having friends as Christian friends, I would say the number one thing that I look for, and when I go to worship or when I have friends that are Christian friends that are like outside of, hey, how you doing? Like a friend that I wouldn't mind going out to dinner with my wife. I wouldn't include my family in a conversation is I can't leave the mosque or I can't leave that Christian friend and they make me feel bad about my own religion. So if I leave a Christian family or friend and I'm like, you know what, you're just trying to prove Christianity is right and Islam is wrong, that's not a friend for me. If I go to a mosque, if I ever leave there and they're like, Christians are this and Christians are that, that is not the place for me. That is not the place for me. So, I mean, it's, you know, I'm not going to get into a debate or whatever, but like there's more of what we believe that is so aligned. If we focus on that, then we are going to be like as close as you can get to brothers.
I've actually had to educate some family members on what Muslims believe, and I should say what you believe, like, because there's even just like there's different sects of SECTS, different sects of any type of faith, and like I've had to correct people, and they're like, well, Muslims, you know, believe that like everyone who's not Muslim should be slaughtered. I was like, that's actually not at all what they believe. I know I'm partnered with one. Let me correct you so that you don't go spreading that ignorance elsewhere. You know, so like and a lot of our that's one thing Christian was asking me. A lot of our belief, I would say 95% of what we believe is almost identical. Yeah. Like exactly.
And you know what? I don't know how this came up with my wife on this trip to Texas, but we were talking about how we got into partnering with each other. And then, so we met on the mat. We were training with each other. Yeah. So he was beating me up for many years before we got into partnering.
Yeah. Punch this in the pause. Before you know that reel you shared of you in a purple belt? Like with that armbar you did at purple belt or whatever. I guess you shared a reel. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And Christian's like, man, I've never seen Coach Mohammad throw that so quick. I was like, oh, was he purple belt? Yeah, that's who used to beat me up. You guys will never understand. You will never, ever understand what it felt like to be manhandled by purple belt and younger Mohammad. But continue. So go ahead while you're spreading that I beat you up.
So we trained for many, many years and together. And right before we got into, we opened up Metro together, somebody told me, if you want to open, go see Fox.
Yeah.
Go see Fox. Mm-hmm. And for anybody who's listening, that person basically said it like, go take out the trash. You can have that trash over there. So all I did really quickly is I scanned my memory. I have selective memory. I scanned my memory of all the interactions that I've had with him outside of training. what kind of person he is, what kind of family member he is. He actually checked on me when we were going through, when Trump had the Muslim ban or whatever. So I scanned it and I said, culturally and almost religiously, are we aligned?
Yeah.
And it didn't take me long to say, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Didn't you say what?
So that's how we got into business together.
Didn't he warn you? Like didn't he warn you though? Like you're like, didn't he like put out a warning? Like, bro, like he's like one of those. Like he's really, he's like really Christian. You need to watch it. Like didn't he warn?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This person said that he's one of those diehard Christians. And again, I scanned my brain and I'm like, okay, diehard. It was either diehard Christians or
however he phrased it. He's like, yo, careful, man. Like he's he actually believes that
extremist or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, I scanned my brain.
I'm a zealot.
How has my interactions been with him? Did he ever make me feel a certain way about my own religion, about his religion? I'm like, no, man, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, it's been good. There isn't a reason why I wouldn't ever want to have this guy over my house or go out with him. And there's some people that I was training with where I couldn't.
No.
Yeah. Playing euchre and getting drunk. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Going out, and partying. It wasn't for me. Just barbecues, kind of conversations that we're having with some of the younger guys. I wouldn't do it, but that's kind of how we got into business.
And that's a crazy story.
It ties into your question about religion.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% it does.
So we both have a safe space with each other, basically.
Yeah, and even just to kind of bring it back to the mat, like we talk about that, bro. We've got you name something, like you name a community, you name a viewpoint, you name a religious, political standpoint. They train here.
Yeah.
I don't talk about I've never got up in front of the mat and started talking about Christianity or Christ. Like you've same with you and your faith. When we're here, bro, it's here to train jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And you're I saw this post that showed all the jiu-jitsu belts, white through black. It was like, if you wear one of these, we have enough in common to be friends.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's it, man. And this is where I believe I 500, I believe this in my soul. I gave this keynote speech in Fort Worth to a group of business owners. If every person trained jiu-jitsu, make it a mandate. If you're 18, just like you have to enlist for the draft, you have to train jiu-jitsu. The world would be way safer.
Yeah.
The world would be way more understanding and open-minded. And the world would be more friendly.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because now it's not a question of do you know how to fight? It's how good can you fight? Number one. And then number two, it's, bro, I really ain't got beef with you. You've been out here busting your tail. And I think that goes in, this is deep rooted, primitive. You've been out here working hard, doing your best, getting dusted, taken down and choked, and you're getting back up and doing it again. I'll mess with you. I'll tell that, whatever. I'll hear what you got to say. I'll hear what you got to say now. There is absolutely no room for anybody. If we start having a conversation and you disagree, you disagree, man. That's it. I'm going to go find someone who agrees with me. That's an echoing chamber. You need people who disagree with you. You need to be open-minded to the possibility that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you just surround yourself with a whole bunch of yes men, nobody grows.
Yeah.
And then you just die on the vine. So,
guys, if any of this information was, you found value in it, you enjoyed it, please let us know. Please comment, like, and share. If you guys know anybody that that is at a place in their life that wants more of a challenge or wants to connect with people, share, tag them. We'd love to connect with them. We're giving out so many memberships for a lot of free stuff we're doing for the holidays. There's only a couple days left, but share, and tag.
Yeah, absolutely. That helps us out. And I'm gonna throw this out there, not to end on a dark note, but we know that the holidays and around the holidays, depression is actually at an all-time high. Suicide rates skyrocket this time of year in January. If you know anyone struggling with mental health, please have them direct message us. If they won't do that, get us their information and I'm going to reach out to them. Because jiu-jitsu saves lives. Jiu-jitsu changes lives. That's a fact. It's not up for debate. It's an actual thing. And we kind of want to help that as well. So reach out to us, share this to them, this little clip, whatever. and then share this to your timelines. It really helps us get the message out about what we do, what we stand for, and just kind of spreading the art of jiu-jitsu, which again, as we mentioned, is better for everybody.
Definitely.
So, all right, guys, I'm here, Coach David, along with
Coach Mohammad.
As always, we'll see you guys
on the mats.
We're still